I'm Jennifer Ho, the Commissioner at Minnesota Housing. If you need closed captioning, you can just hit the button below that says CC. Today is a really exciting day. On January 27th, the Minnesota Housing Board of Directors approved a slate of proposed multifamily and single-family projects in what we call our annual consolidated RFP. The selections bring together many of the resources the agency has to deliver to communities across the state. Our staff spent months making the recommendations for how we can fund as many of these great projects as we can and leverage the resources that we have to work with. In addition to the consolidated RFP, the Board of Directors also approved a list of manufactured home infrastructure projects. In this presentation, you'll hear more about a new senior housing development that will be coming to Big Lake. You'll meet a new Minneapolis homeowner and hear about her journey. And you'll meet Bev, a powerhouse from Woodlawn Terrace, a manufactured home community in Richfield. While the consolidated RFP is the largest announcement we make each year, and manufactured housing approvals are a growing program area, it's important to remember that Minnesota Housing awards funding through RFP processes throughout the year. Here's a breakdown of the agency's investments through our RFPs in 2021. In Minnesota Housing's 2021 consolidated RFP, we selected $220 million in multifamily projects to support 1,095 units. And we selected $12.5 million in single-family projects to support 322 units. In our 2021 manufactured housing RFP, we selected 12 projects that will receive a total of $7.5 million and provide improvements to 1,247 manufactured home lots. Across all of Minnesota Housing's RFPs in 2021, we made $265 million in selections to support 4,631 units. These include our consolidated RFP, manufactured homes, publicly owned housing, multifamily workforce development, and single-family workforce homeownership. That doesn't even include all of Minnesota Housing's other programs and daily operations, but it gives you an idea of the resources that flow into communities across the state to create and preserve housing that Minnesotans can afford. Today's announcement is a shared achievement because the selections we're announcing are made possible in large part through commitments made by the state. There's no better person to speak to this than the governor.
Hi everyone, Governor Tim Walz here. I'm pleased to be joining Minnesota Housing in announcing this year's funding selections. Every state may have a housing finance agency, but Minnesota is special because it has a unique financing tool, housing infrastructure bonds. These funds help us create some of the most deeply affordable homes for Minnesotans who make the least amount of money. Last summer, the legislature committed $100 million in new housing infrastructure bonds, and today we celebrate as we actually match those funds to new developments. Thank you to all of the legislative leaders. We can say yes now to more communities across the state with more funding than we've ever had, and the use of federal resources alone don't get us there. We're saying yes to Big Lake, yes to Buffalo, and yes to Cambridge. We're telling Pipestone, Otter Tail, and International Falls, your housing needs matter. You too, Duluth, Mankato, Rochester, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, and all of the greater metro. We're saying yes to new apartment buildings and more single-family homes. Yes to new senior housing and manufactured homes. No matter where you live, what age you are, what income you earn, we all share the universal need for a safe, stable place to call home. Minnesota is doing its part to invest more of what we need. Thank you all and enjoy the day.
As Housing Commissioner, I am constantly grateful to work for a governor and lieutenant governor who understand how critical it is for everyone to have a home that they can afford, no matter what community they live in or how much they make. The need for more housing at lower price points has only intensified during the pandemic. The need to quarantine has led to missed work and lost wages. People who make the least are the most affected, especially if they were paying more than they could afford even before the pandemic. The project selections for multifamily are guided by a set of priorities that are embedded in our scoring system. The resources we have to invest in developments are limited. We receive 3 to 4 times the number of requests we can fund. By aligning our scoring with our development priorities, we are signaling the outcomes that we want to see. I'm pleased to say that is in evidence this year. There are 4 areas where we turned up the volume on our priorities: increase the number of deeply affordable units, work with racially diverse set of developers and contractors, invest in innovative construction methods, and build more senior housing. Let's start with deep affordability. In our work, a deeply affordable unit is affordable to someone who earns about 30% of the area median income. This is at a rent level that's nearly impossible for a private developer to build without federal or state assistance. The rising cost of construction continues to push rent prices even higher. We recognize that as a housing agency, we can invest in deeply affordable units at a level that the private market can't. This year, 377 rental units, or 33% of our multifamily selections, are deeply affordable. That's the highest percentage of deeply affordable units we've ever selected. Communities that will see new developments with these deeply affordable units are Big Lake, Buffalo, Mankato, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Golden Valley, and Rogers. This year, we encouraged our development partners to commit to racial diversity in their proposals. We gave extra points to projects that include people of color in ownership, leadership, or partnership roles in the development. I'm pleased to share that all of our multifamily selections include teams with businesses owned or led by Black, Indigenous, or people of color or women-owned businesses. This is a first for the agency. Another priority of the agency is to promote the use of innovative construction. One multifamily developer will be using modular construction, an automated manufacturing process to pre-assemble materials at a factory that will arrive at the site for installation only. This year, Trellis's Hillside Heights apartment in Elk River has been selected in part for its plan to use modular construction. By consolidating the work under one roof, Trellis expects to see a 10% cost savings and 20% less construction time than on a conventionally built site. An additional priority of ours is to build more housing for seniors. I'm pleased to share that Duluth, Buffalo, Mankato, St. Paul, Rogers, Golden Valley, and Big Lake will be seeing new senior apartment buildings rising in their communities. Big Lake Station will be a new senior housing development in Big Lake, Minnesota, a small city of 10,000 near Monticello. Big Lake Station will have 74 units for individuals and couples, including 10 deeply affordable units. It will be developed by Aon. Louise Sandwick is a current resident of The Landing, another Aon development for seniors. Her old home was near her family, but it had 20 steps she could no longer navigate because of mobility issues. I felt like a prisoner there, she told us. Louise learned about a new senior development coming in her community and watched it being built. When it opened, she moved into The Landing. She told her friends, "Just wait until you get a look at my place." In addition to having a new apartment that meets her budget, Louise has found ways to give back to the community. She supplies the yarn, and she and other residents make hats, scarves, and blankets that they donate to a local shelter. Says Louise, "We need it out here. I worked hard my whole life. I know I'm lucky. I'm comfortable here, but there are a lot of people like me who can't afford high rents." Now let's turn to the 2021 single-family selections. A recent change in authorized uses of housing infrastructure bonds allows for the creation and preservation of single-family homes. As the governor mentioned in his remarks, Minnesota is unique in having this funding source for housing development. For years, the bonds have enabled us to invest in community land trusts and priority multifamily areas like deep affordability and senior housing. But only recently have we been able to use the bonds for single-family uses like new construction, acquisition, rehabilitation, resale, and owner-occupied rehab. In addition to selections that will build new single-family homes and cover the costs of rehab, this year we're also seeing a variety of home types, including multi-unit dwellings with up to 4 units and accessory dwelling units. These home types add new affordable units on existing parcels, They create wealth building opportunities and they meet the housing needs of large and multi-generational families. We're pleased to see 3 new single family developers apply and get selected this year. 2 for-profit companies, one of which is women-owned, and a housing authority serving Blue Earth County. I mentioned that some of this year's selections are community land trusts. This model creates permanently affordable homeownership opportunities through a one-time investment in the purchase of land and the underwriting of construction and repair costs. Communities that will see new community land trust developments include Douglas, Pope, and Ottertail counties, the City of Rochester, Scott County, Washington County, suburban Hennepin County, and the City of Minneapolis. I had a chance to talk with Jeff Washburn, who runs the City of Lakes Community Land Trust, and Jamia Michaud Kernfields, a new homeowner who purchased her land trust home in North Minneapolis last summer. I am so excited to meet you, Jamia. Tell me a little bit about the place that you call home.
Okay, so the place that I call home, it's a beautiful home. I have a 3-bedroom, and I have it's a 3-level, but the upstairs was very beautiful. I think that's what I fell in love with was the upstairs. It has a very beautiful bathroom. Let's start there. It has like a walk-in shower, so beautiful, and it has like 3 walk-in like closets where which came in very handy for my girls, and my backyard. I needed a backyard for my kids because I have 2 kids with disability, and one of my kids elopes, and it was fenced in, and it was very important because I needed to make sure that my kids was not going to be able to like rent out of my yard. But I really appreciate Community Land and Trust giving me this opportunity to be able to be a first-time home buyer and being able to give my kids a home, a safe home, a beautiful home, and a home that we can call our own. And I really me and my kids just really fell in love with it compared to where we came from, just living in apartment buildings and, just not being able to, my kids, even though they're young, not being able to go outside and experience, being able to make snowmans and snow angels, or being able just to play outside in the summertime and being able just to experience, the environment. It was very important for my kids just to be able to experience stuff like that, and just be able to have their own home. It's just, my kids are just very happy. I'm very happy, and I'm just very thankful.
That's fantastic. I'm in love with my walk-in shower and my closets too. So,
yes, my kids really
home.
love it. I think everybody, like my family, they come in, and when they see the upstairs, they're like, "Oh my God!" They're like, "Why did you give your girls the upstairs? I would have kept the upstairs." And I'm like, "Well, my son, he has autism and he has a lot of safety issues, and so I have to be on the same level as him. And so I had to give my 2 girls the upstairs, and I had to keep me and my son on the same level." And so, yes, I get very jealous, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sad that I had to give it to them. But I'm very happy that, they're more responsible with keeping the upstairs bathroom really clean.
That's fantastic. My mom kept her clothes in my closet when I was a kid, so I really appreciate what it means to have your own. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking time to talk with us. Jeffrey, I want to just ask you to talk a little bit about your organization and what you do and how you think it is one of the pieces in the puzzle that we solve for home ownership and helping people become home buyers like Jamia has been.
Sure. Thank you so much for supporting the Land Trust, Minnesota Housing supporting the Land Trust over the years. It's allowed us, our organization, the City of Lakes Community Land Trust, serves residents in the city of Minneapolis. We started back in the early 2000s, and to date, we've now assisted close to 450 households achieve affordable home ownership in the city, and that's in roughly about 340 homes in trust. So we've already seen a number of resales, and so the beauty I'd like to think of the community land trust is seeking affordability investments that we then in turn invest in low and moderate income households to help them achieve their goal of home ownership. Capturing the story, I think of what Jamia shared about, space for their families, their kids, stability, being able to do better for themselves and their families, with also the benefit of knowing that if and when a household decides to sell, that affordability investment, oftentimes, majority of the times funded with Minnesota housing dollars, stays in the property and essentially gets passed on to the next low-income household. And if there's a change in value through the community land trust, we're able to capture a portion of that increase in value and pass that on to the next buyer. And in many ways, what we like to think is creating permanently or perpetually affordable home ownership here in the city. I think increasingly, as we all are seeing with increasing housing costs, not just in ownership, but also in rental, this is a way to create affordable housing and ensure that it stays affordable for future generations of buyers. And it's been really amazing to be able to watch the community land trust model work. And I think it's going to be an increasingly important tool for our public sector partners, the state of Minnesota, to create and create opportunities for households to get into home ownership.
Jamia, why would you recommend to one of your friends going through a community land trust to buy a home?
I would say I would recommend because they're trustworthy, and then also they work with people who are more likely to my experience, like I kept getting denied, and I'm not really sure why I kept getting denied, and so a lot of the people that they have for like the mortgage companies, they kept helping me, and I think that they have a lot of really nice homes, and I think they just really help out people, and then also I just think that they're really a good company to really help people for first-time home buyers, and then also for families as well.
That's great. Well, I love the North Side. I'm glad you've got a home that you love and a place that's safe to raise your kids. And thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me. And Jeffrey, congratulations from all of us at Minnesota Housing. I do great work.
Thank you for the continued partnership. Really appreciate it.
It was a real treat to hear firsthand what it means to Jamia to buy her home. She gives us a sense of how we'll be helping dozens more families buy a home that they can afford. In addition to approving the consolidated RFP selections yesterday, the Minnesota Housing Board also approved selections for our manufactured home community redevelopment program. In this program, funds can be used for water and sewer upgrades, storm shelter construction or repairs, electrical work, road and sidewalk improvements, and other infrastructure needs. This year, our manufactured housing selections are up threefold, thanks to commitments from the Minnesota legislature. We're able to finance infrastructure upgrades that will improve 1,247 home lots in manufactured home communities located in every region of the state. The communities are a mix of ownership models, including privately owned, city-owned, and cooperatively owned. Bev Adrian is a homeowner at Woodlawn Terrace in Richfield, one of the manufactured home communities selected for funding. I had a chance to talk with Bev, and she described the excitement of helping transition the community to a cooperatively owned site. She also captured the challenges the community has had with water quality, where the well they rely on is heavily tainted with iron. Tori Clark Executive Director of North Country Cooperative Foundation, joined us for the conversation. Let's take a listen. I am so excited to be able to talk with Bev Adrian and Tori Clark today. Bev, tell me a little bit about the community that you live in.
Well, let's start out with 15 months ago. I was downsizing and looking to, get a little more comfortable in retirement. And I found this little home for sale in Woodlawn Terrace here in Richfield. And I, within 5 minutes of seeing the place, I made an offer. Went up to the park owner and found out that he had an offer to sell this property. But that was being pulled off the table, and he needed 30 days to exercise the cancellation of the purchase agreement. So I said, well, I know people, and I would like to know if you would consider selling the property to become a cooperative to the residents. And he said, yeah, I'll talk to those people. So lo and behold, I have some past experience I won't go into here, but I called up Tori right away, said, hey, I know this guy. He's a park owner. He's owned the place for 54 years. He's in his 80s, and he's very interested in selling the property. And he's willing to talk with you folks about a co-op conversion. And that's where it all started. So behind the scenes, Tori and I worked for a number of months negotiating. Tori did the negotiating with him to get a purchase agreement on record. And it wasn't until April that we were able to accomplish that. And so we brought this idea to the full community at the end of March. Now, keep in mind, we had to have the whole community meet together. And there was no meeting place prior to, because of COVID, that we couldn't get the whole group together. But the end of March, the weather turned. We were able to get outside, have a whole community meeting, and present this idea, the cooperative idea, to the residents here. It was an overwhelmingly approved, accepted idea by the group. Everybody was so supportive immediately, very excited, because everybody here had lived for at least 10 years under the fear that this park would be closed, sold, and redeveloped and torn down. And where would people go? Their homes couldn't be moved. They would be displaced, and where to? And that's a fear. That is a real fear that people have and have had every single day living here. And there's long-term residents that have been here 20 years, 30 years, and not knowing any day now this park could be on the chopping block. So
tell me a little bit about, that's so exciting. I congratulations on doing that. And that's just really remarkable. So talk about what this investment from Minnesota Housing is going to help you do.
Oh, this is just an incredible opportunity. The money that's coming through for us to finance, we are able to, number one, secure the property for the people that live here. We have the opportunity to expand the community. We have 30 residents right now. We hope to expand and add 21 new homes that will be affordable housing in the first ring suburb of the Twin Cities, in an area that is unaffordable now to the residents that currently live here. The real estate market this last year, has exploded, and the opportunities for affordable housing have diminished. So we are going to be able to expand and improve the property.
Bev, I understand there's some real challenges with the water in your community. Tell me about it.
Well, we have a private well, and the private well has lots of iron in the water, so the water comes out brown, and it smells like sulfur, and it's very hard on our appliances and our faucets. Everything is corroded. The water softener, the water heater, washing machines, dishwashers the toilets are all corroded with this heavy yellow-brown rust. Scrubbing the shower stall is a chore. The walls turn yellow and streaked. Everybody's white socks are brown or yellowish. It's just nobody drinks the water here. Nobody trusts it. It has been tested. It is deemed to be safe, but it stinks. And we're looking forward to higher quality water that is not so damaging to our homes.
That's, I mean, just water that you have faith in is just kind of one of those basics. And when you don't have it, it's a big, big deal. Well, I'm excited for you to have a clear tap running through your house. Uh, you know, Tori, you work on helping improve and preserve manufactured home communities and grow them. Talk a little bit just about where you all see kind of the future of manufactured home communities as we try to solve the problem of the affordability of housing across the state.
Yeah, I mean, manufactured home communities have and will continue to be a really integral part of the affordable housing solution. And an important, even more important than that, providing a source of home ownership, affordable home ownership, right? Because that's what these communities are really delivering, is that opportunity to own their own home and their own four walls around them. And I think what's the advancements that have been made in the way that manufactured homes are built, and the improvements that have been made in the last 20, 30 years to today. I've toured lots of manufactured home builders across Minnesota, and it's an incredible product, and it's built at a much lower rate than what it costs to develop and construct site-built housing. And so when you have that type of lower cost product, especially in this environment where the cost to build and construct new housing is so challenging, you've got to use every tool in the tool belt, right? And manufactured housing is definitely part of that, especially when you can get such high quality units as you can today. So we're excited to keep preserving communities like Woodlawn, and increase and inject new housing stock like Woodlawn plans to do. And we're excited, and hopefully we'll do some new park development in the future. That's on the horizon for us, and I think that's an exciting next chapter for this industry as well as a part of the homeownership solution.
Well, thank you both for your work in this area. I'll tell you, from day one as commissioner, when you drive across Minnesota, you see Minnesota in a different way. And one of the things I noticed right away is driving across any part of Minnesota, it's usually the first thing you see before you go into town, and it's usually the last thing you see when you drive out of a town. And I know that that's critical, and I've learned so much from you about just some of the challenges to dealing with infrastructure and other needs. So congratulations from all of us at Minnesota Housing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bev really makes it clear how much the water infrastructure needed to be updated at Woodlawn Terrace. And that's just one example of the kind of upgrades that can now be made in the 12 manufactured home communities selected, located in cities like Detroit Lakes, Redwood Falls, Grand Rapids, Isanti, and more. Thanks for joining us today to take a closer look at Minnesota Housing's 2021 selections. There's a lot more information available if you want to dig into the numbers. Visit mnhousing.gov for detailed lists of the selections, program priorities, interactive maps, and more. I want to extend my thanks to all our partners who translate dollars into homes. The development partners, cities, counties, nonprofits, and housing allies. We thank the state legislators and the leadership of Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan for their help in bringing more housing resources to the table. And special thanks to the amazing staff at Minnesota Housing, who go big every day so more Minnesotans have a place to call home.